Hello once again. Now, President Akufo-Addo has challenged African countries that have not regularized their Africa Continental Free Trade Area membership to do so before the end of the year, handing over the headquarters of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement to the Secretary General. The President stated that this was much more necessary in ensuring the success of the entire program.
I welcome all who are coming from beyond our shores to our picturesque, vibrant capital city of Accra, particularly the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed. We are honored, sir, by your presence amongst us. I extend a hearty welcome, a word of welcome to you and all others, and I hope you're all enjoying your stay, the pandemic notwithstanding, amongst the people famed for their hospitality. When the African Union, AU, convened an extraordinary summit in Kigali, the capital of the Republic of Rwanda, on 21st March 2018, to adopt and sign the legal instruments for the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA, there were many who did not believe African countries were ready to meet the required minimum threshold of 22 member state ratifications needed for the AfCFTA to come into effect. On 30th May 2019, a year later, after the minimum threshold was met, with Ghana and Kenya being the first to deposit on the same day their instruments of ratification with the AU Commission, the operational phase of the AfCFTA was launched as the agreement had become effective. A little over a month after this seminal event, we gathered in Niamey, capital of the Republic of Niger, on 7th July 2019, at the 12th extraordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the AU, where Ghana was selected by her peers to play host to the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Indeed, for a country generally acknowledged as the pioneer of modern Pan-Africanism, under the dynamic leadership of our first president, Kwame Nkrumah.
Well, the president also believes that the trade agreement will accelerate the continent's technological, agricultural, and industrial growth.
A country whose people made great sacrifices to spearhead the struggle for the liberation of the African continent from colonialism, imperialism, and the racist system of apartheid. This is the first time in our 63 years of nationhood and in the 57 years of the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, the precursor to the AU, that we have the responsibility and privilege of hosting an important Pan-African institution. So today is an auspicious day for Ghana, and on behalf of the Ghanaian people and their government, I express our deep appreciation once again to the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the AU for its decision. I thank also my fellow Ghanaians, the first president of Ghana's Fourth Republic, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, the second president of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, former First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the Minister for Trade and Industry, Alan Kyerematen, who brilliantly led Ghana's efforts, and other officials of government for the diverse roles they played in helping to promote Ghana's successful bid. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in Niamey, I assure that Ghana, as caretaker of the Secretariat, will put all the requisite facilities at its disposal so that it could run as a world-class organization. Indeed, as part of the hosting agreement, Ghana was requested by the Assembly to work with the AU Commission to ensure an expeditious and efficient process of establishing a permanent secretariat for the AfCFTA in Accra. Ghana has fully discharged all her obligations and commitments agreed with the AU Commission. And we are today handing over a fully furnished and befitting office space in a secured and easily accessible location within the business center of Accra as the permanent secretariat of the AfCFTA. We have provided also an appropriate furnished residential accommodation as the official residence of the Secretary General of the AfCFTA. I have no doubt that the coming into being of the African Continental Free Trade Area is one of the most important decisions taken by the AU. When you consider the fact that trade between African countries remains low, currently standing at some 16% of our combined GDP, compared to other parts of the world, like the European Union's 75%, it is obvious that these very low levels of intra-regional trade constitute one of the defining characteristics of our continuing poverty. They hinder our prospects of bringing prosperity to our peoples. A large part of the growth and prosperity that we seek on the continent will come from us trading more amongst ourselves. We in Ghana believe that an increase in trade is the surest way to deepen regional integration in Africa.
Well, the programs manager for the Third World Network Africa, Sylvester Bagro, has joined us via Zoom for more details on this development story. Hello, Sylvester. If you could hear me, many thanks for being with us here on the program. It is a historic day. Yes, we do know that the entire pact will take effect formally next year, but today is just a handing over of the Africa Trade House to the AU Commission. But help us understand what this could signify in terms of Africa's next step to a single market.
Let me say good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Let me first of all commend the government of Ghana for lobbying for the Secretariat. We commend all the officials, the Minister of Trade and his team for what they have done. It is good. But I think what we have to focus on is beyond the Secretariat, what does it mean for the many people? Of course, the Secretariat can actually bring some jobs to Ghanaians in terms of administrative jobs, in terms of security, in terms of conference hosting, among others. And then, of course, they also have some kind of technical positions that will be filled, in the Secretariat. Beyond that, how does the AfCFTA benefit the many millions of Africans, Ghanaians in West African countries? This is where the problem is, and that's where I want to do my submission. And if you permit me, I will approach it in two ways. First of all, if you look at what they call the protocols on goods, that means you are trading goods across Africa. We have what we call the rules of origin. That is the passport of the product. What product can actually qualify as a Ghanaian or African product is one. Number two, how the selection is done in terms of the goods. And so I want to explain this so that it will be clear. First of all, in terms of the selection of the products, that is where the president talked about the agriculture and all that. We have 90%, 70%, and 3%. And let me explain. The 90% means that all products that are coming from the rest of Africa who are party to the agreement will enter duty-free, quota-free. It means that we are not going to charge duties on them when they come to the port. They just come in like that. They'll be treated as Ghanaian products. So that must be clear. Secondly, we also have an agreement, we have our 7% that they are in the wisdom of the technical people that there's a need to protect these sectors. And so they are going to open up, but then they'll take much more time. And that is one of the dimensions. And thirdly, there's what they call the 3%. For that one, they are not going to be excluded. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that this is a very good, we have gotten the secretary, it is very good, but how it will benefit the many Ghanaians and Africans across the country would depend on how the rules are defined and also depend on how the selection is done. And I'll explain a bit further. Let me give you an example. In the selection of the products, if you take a product like tomato, so if a tomato product is coming from Burkina Faso, or even come from Kenya, it enters a duty-free. If in terms of developing, we said, okay, well, for us to develop as a region, we need to protect tomato farmers. That is very clear. And then we protect the fresh tomato. Then there's a linkage question. We protect the fresh tomato. We need to ensure that if you add value to your product, which becomes tomato paste, we need to protect them. But what we have at the moment is that there's a disconnect between the 3% and the liberalization. And that's the key problem that people have raised, in the sense that if you actually just protect the tomato farmers and you leave out the tomato paste, in that case, people can just bring in the paste from Italy, and then they trade them around. That's very important. So the point is, what qualifies as a Ghanaian product would depend on how the rules are defined.
Exactly. And, this remains a contentious matter. Of course, we did see last year, for instance, Nigeria had to delay in ratifying the agreement based on this specific matter of the rules of origin. As it stands now, the entire AfCFTA, pact would have to go on next year without a clear-cut rules of origin as they adapt to the World Trade Organization's own. How much of a challenge do you think this could have moving forward when it comes to the specific guidelines, the specific arrangements when it has to do with the rules of origin? Because already we're having issues with rules of origin between Ghana and Nigeria, which of course led to the recent border closures.
If the rules of origin are not finalized, we cannot implement the AfCFTA, because that is the passport of the product. And so if you cannot travel out of Ghana without a passport, so that's what I'm trying to say. So if the rules of origin are not finalized, then the AfCFTA cannot be operationalized. And so they are trying to find the rules of origin. But the point I'm making is that, we have some companies that are importing products. And so if you define the rules of origin so tightly, then it will disrupt their operation. That is key. Secondly, if you also define it so loosely, then it will be a conduit for non-African products flooding the Ghanaian and the West African and African market. So that is where the problem is.
So how do we strike the balance there?
There's this contention between how do you define the rules in such a way that the businesses that are already operating, they can actually continue with their business, and how do you also make sure that the defining of the rules is not a conduit for non-African products to flood the Ghanaian market and African market. That is key. And so what I offer is that in some jurisdictions, they offer what they call evolutionary rules of origin. And so we start by saying, well, we can open up lightly. Then when we try to get intermediate products within the region, then we tighten up the rules. That's how the way the linkages can be defined. And so that's how Ghanaians and Africans can benefit. Other than that, you can only be trading Chinese products or US products, and under the guise of African products. And business people are ready to do that. They can do that.
Now, so many guys are concerned about the mistakes of the past and the successes of the future. How can we strike the balance and ensure that trade volumes and even the laws do not get affected moving forward?
Let me give you an example, like the Ghanaian example. In terms of the Ghanaian example, we need to select the product. I will speak now. Most Ghanaians are not sure which products are going into that we are going to protect because of the influx of imports. I mean, most Ghanaians are not aware of it. And so the Ministry of Trade, even as we are so excited about the Secretariat, we need to have a conversation. What are the products that are key to our transformation? Just as the President said, if you don't define the technical level very well, then the statement that AfCFTA is a game changer for Africa's development, it cannot happen, because you need to push it, and then you can only have sound technical analysis at that level, and then you can actually give back into the political statement that we hear on AfCFTA. Very important. Other than that, we have the same situation. Then people just import, let's say, milk from Norway, and then they turn them to sachet, and they are treated across West Africa and Central Africa. It's happening in Nigeria. It's happening in Central Africa. They just import the milk powder from Norway, and then they brand them and they trade them as Western products. In that way, the farmers and the whole local value chain will be disrupted, and that is a problem that we have to face. And we need to deal with it, and deal with it properly, so that we have an AfCFTA which is a very important pillar of Africa's integration. And one dimension, if you look at where this AfCFTA is coming from, it comes from the Abuja Treaty of Regional Integration. And if you look into that document, what is very important is the sectorial linkages. You know, it's about production. If we don't produce, I'm sorry, AfCFTA cannot solve our problems.
All right, just before I let you go in just a few minutes, Sylvester, already there are also concerns about the protectionist economies. We're having the likes of Nigeria, even South Africa, being protective of their own markets and their own produce as well. This has been of grave challenge to the drafters of this entire program, of this entire pact. How do you think we can move forward, having most of these big guys in the African region amidst the entire program?
You see, not only in Africa, if you look in the US, and there's always a need to make sure that you have local champions. That's very important. And so you need to make sure that you have Ghanaian businesses that can actually take advantage of this, and you need to support them. And so you need to make sure that you look at the range of support that they need to be able to benefit from the AfCFTA. Other than that, if we don't have that, we have a problem. And just to talk about the Nigerian situation, we as ECOWAS, we are moving towards a custom union. And so if we are moving towards a custom union, it means that we need to agree on the products that we need to protect, and then the sector that we need to protect, and the sector that we need to open up. So if we have these problems among ourselves, it means that there is a problem with the logic, and we need to revisit the developmental logic that we're implementing.
Sylvester, we're so grateful that you joined us for that fruitful discussion. He's a programs officer at the Third World Network.